Okay, let's address something that is show related. I want to get your feedback about this. For several years now, the Friday show, the third segment of the Friday show is an old interview, an interview that's at least a couple of years old, that's relevant today in some way, shape, or form, very often with a new introduction from me or some analysis contextualizing the interview based on what's going on today. Last week, we tried, instead of doing one segment of live calls and then going into a classic interview, skipping the classic interview and doing two segments of live calls. I don't know that anybody noticed because not a single person emailed me saying, hey, David, what happened to the classic interview? Okay. However, we're doing that again today. So after the break, we're going to go to live calls, and then we will do a few more live calls instead of a classic interview. This is just a test, okay? My question to you is, do you prefer two live call segments so we can get to more live calls? Because we have, whenever we take calls, we've got 15 to 20 people holding. We never get to all the calls. There's clearly pent-up demand, to use an economic term, for more callers. Do you prefer doubling up on live calls and skipping the classic interview, or would you like to see the classic interview return? We've not made a decision on this yet. At least I haven't. Pat maybe made a decision and didn't tell me. But this is sort of an open question right now.
I'd love to see what the audience has to say, because when we asked what their favorite segment of the show is, a lot of people said Patriot Mail.
Yeah.
But I think either first or second was live calls.
Indeed.
So there's going to be a lot of support for that. And also people like the interviews too. And because they're 2, 3, 4 years old, a lot of the new viewers have never had the chance to see them.
When you consider that the size of our audience has doubled in the last 9 months, a lot of people have never seen or even heard of many of the interviews that appear on a Friday classic interview. So let me know. Email me, david@davidpakman.com. Let me know your thoughts. We can really go either way. And what also, I wonder how this will be a factor, which is that some people hate live calls. Although interviews and live calls are two of the most liked aspects of the show, interviews and live calls are two of the most disliked aspects of the show by other people. Some people skip the interviews altogether. So for them, doubling up on live calls is great. They were skipping the interviews anyway. Other people prefer the interviews. That's their favorite part of the show. And they may now be upset that we've gone from 5 interviews a week down to only 4, Monday through Thursday. So I really don't know where people are going to come away with this. But the lesson here, Pat, is email me, david@davidpakman.com, and tell me which you prefer.
I mean, it certainly seems to be one of these polarizing issues. It's not one of those things that everyone can agree on,
No.
like that we should have less sports on the show, for example.
Yes, indeed. That seemed to be almost unanimous among the audience, that there should be no discussion of sports on the show. I hate to break it to you. Every once in a while, there's going to be discussions of sports, especially with World Cup 2018 coming up, which, number one, the location, completely immoral and indicative of corruption and broader issues, which I will be talking about, and Argentinian men's national team, which how could we not talk about that? And the jersey, I warn you, Pat, will be coming back out next year.
And the coverage of the pickup basketball game that I've played with my friends over the past few weeks.
Oh, yeah, well, that's going to be the lead story on Monday. Make a note of that. All right, let's take a break. I'm on Twitter @dpakman. The show is on Twitter @David Pakman Show.